We'll share all of this and more today on Workshop Insider. We'll cut out the damaged part of this vinyl floor and a new piece to match. Then glue the new piece down so that it's flush. We can use a broken screw as an anchor to another screw. Sometimes we need our bolts to be a bit more secure so no one can unscrew them. In this case, we'll use blind rivets. Now they're not so easy to remove. Our vinyl floor is a bit loose here. We can drill a hole in the vinyl floor and fill it with wood glue. Now we'll cover the hole by melting a crayon and then shaving it flat. To securely pack fragile items, we'll need to place our item between 2 layers of spray foam and plastic wrap like so. Our item is ready to ship. We can also repackage the item like so for multiple shipments. Leave a brush in the paint bucket and it'll start to sink. We can mark out a little notch and then remove it using a handsaw. Now the brush will hang on the rim of the paint bucket. Putting duct tape on wood before cutting will keep the wood from splintering. Use a utility knife to cut the duct tape in the shape that you need. Now we'll cut along the edge with a jigsaw. And our wood has not splintered. We can even use a plastic straw to anchor this screw. Drilling into drywall can create a lot of dust. We can use this plastic bottle as a shield to collect the dust. Now when we drill, any dust falls into the cap. How can we prevent this marker from constantly rolling? Simply add a zip tie to the end. Water that's left on the ends of these shovels will cause the metal to rust. We can prevent that by filling a bucket with sand and motor oil. Now if we set our shovels inside the sand after working, the oil will prevent them from rusting. Sometimes the clamping pressure and too much wood glue causes the boards to slide. We can use a bit of salt to keep the boards from sliding. We'll learn how to make our own dowels in this next project. Start by cutting out 2 quarter circles. One needs a hole about the size of the dowels, and the second needs a large hole. Attach the boards to a stud like so, with the router in between. Now we can pass the square dowel through and round it to size. The mortise and tenon joint is one of the strongest joints that we can make to secure these 2 pieces together. We'll start by making the mortise. We'll mark the exact center and then use our mortise router, making multiple passes to cut it out cleanly. Next, we'll make the tenon. We want to make sure that it fits snug, so we'll never cut past our marks. We can remove most of the wood using our table saw, cutting the sides and the bottom. It should come out like this. We'll remove the rest of the wood using a chisel and sandpaper. Now our pieces fit nicely together, snug, and everything lines up. Our last project for this video will be a handcrafted curtain holder, made out of this log and the extra piece of scrap wood. We'll start by drilling a hole into the center of the log and cutting out a large hole in the center using a hole saw drill bit. Then we'll cut off a round about 1 inch thick. We'll want to sand off the bark of our circle piece, and also sand off the edges of our straight piece. We'll end up with 2 pieces that look like this. We'll apply varnish to both pieces and let them dry. Pass the curtain through the circle piece and then lock it in place.
Let's move on to work with the wires. First thing to do is strip them. To do this with our own hands, we will create a simple construction, which is suitable for cables of different thickness. Let's cover it with varnish and install a blade from an ordinary box cutter. Well, there, the mount is solid. You can check it out in action. As you can see, everything works great. Now let's fix the wires to the wall. It's often unreliable, but we know how to fix it. Just 2 parts. You cannot pull the plug out of the outlet. I don't understand why no one follows this simple rule. Well, let's make a sturdy attachment that will keep the cable from ripping off once again. And move on to the corrugated pipe. It's not hard to fasten it properly too. And it's a totally different thing. It's time to find out how the 3-way switch works. Trust me, it's a very handy thing that lets you control lights from different parts of the room. The important thing is to build the right circuit. Does it look like the outlet's about to fall off? That's not good. We need to fix it right away. Let's take it apart and make it as sturdy as possible. We'll have to use a gun to do it. No, not the one that you're thinking of, just a glue gun. Put the parts back in place. Now it's held firmly in place. Did the light bulb stop working? Maybe it's a blown diode. Let's take it apart and see. We suggest shorting it out. Grab your soldering iron, it's time to get started. And test it. It works. Burnt and shorted. These words often haunt electricians. Fortunately, professionals know how to prevent the problem. For example, you can connect the wires beforehand using this simple principle of stairs. Perfect! All that's left is to connect and insulate everything. This construction is not as sturdy as it looks. Maybe we could add some fire. I think it will help secure everything. However, why assume when you cannot test it? The final touch is that now all the wires are definitely protected. Junctions are the worst dream of anyone who has ever dealt with electrical work. They are so often unreliable. You need to fix the situation. Take note of a few successful improvement tricks. Really solid too. Check out a few more options. You will have to use pliers for these. This is even tighter than a sailing knot. A whole roll of duct tape can be difficult to slip through the small gaps between the wires. And finally, let's make an express phone charger, which will come in handy in case you don't have a regular one at hand.